You can't be either Neo or Agent Smith. Not only do you need your ammo, but that ammo is kind of pointless if you don't have the proper tools to use it with. So right now would actually be an excellent time to go to your local gun shops or your local Rule King. Head to that gun barn and start investing in some firearms and plenty of bullets. Plenty of bullets. Right here is my Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 2. Yeah, that sight's right on the money. So, tell you what, truthers, and my fellow Americans.
Go tell that long time liar. Go and tell that midnight rider. Tell the rambler again with a backbite. Tell them the God. Tell them the God. Cut them down. Goodness gracious, let me tell you the news. My head's been wet with the midnight dew. I've been down on a bended knee, talking to the man from Galilee. He spoke to me in a voice so sweet, I thought I heard the angels. He called my name, my heart stood still. John, do my will. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. You may throw your rock and hide your hand, working in the dark against a fellow man. But as sure as God made black or white, what's down in the dark will be brought to the light. You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Tell him the God's gonna cut you down.
Welcome, everybody, to the Truther Odyssey, where we seek the truth in a world full of disinformation and indoctrination. I am your host, as always, the Truth Talker, Jacob Eggers. I just, guys, know this show. Uh, we don't chase headlines. We decode them, right? This is not an agent of the Democrats or the Republican. We do not stand with the one world uniparty. And I just can't get past Jared Kushner. I can't get him off my mind. There is something very dark and very nefarious in what he's doing. So I feel like Greg Reese, I'm a big fan of Greg Reese. I've tried reaching out to many like-minded folks on Twitter, and they probably don't take me seriously because I don't have a check mark next to my name on Twitter because I refuse to give my money to Elon Musk. But trying to get people to wake up like, hey, all the bad decisions that DT is making right now, it's because of Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner handpicked Pam Bondi and Susie Wiles, right? So he may not have the same role in the White House as he did in the first Trump administration, which was originally Steve Bannon's job. But Steve Bannon didn't have the job for long. And eventually went to Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner doesn't need to have that role right now. He has surrogates doing it for him, like Susie Wiles, Pam Bondi. I don't know if you guys have heard. It broke probably a little over an hour ago that the judge has declined to unseal the grand jury testimonies for the Jeffrey Epstein situation, which I told you that was going to happen. I kept putting emphasis on, like, a lot of the right-wing content creators, whom on a lot of situations I align with, but this cover-up. Many of them are backing off. They have become distracted with, well, the distractions that have been placed before them. Here's your carrot. Don't go barking up this Epstein tree. Just let it alone. That Trump post stating upon court approval. How many people were looking at that post and highlighting to you folks that phrase, granting court approval? Who out of all the content creators who've been speaking about this subject, when they read that social media post from Donald J. Trump, was highlighting that phrase, trying to get you guys to realize that nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to be released. I did. I told you that. I highlighted the emphasis. I wrote content about it. While so many only emphasize that he's telling Pam Bondi to have it released. You will never hear Trump and Bondi bring up the subject again. You will never hear Kash Patel talk about Epstein ever again. Dan Bongino, we don't know what's going on with that story. But how much you want to bet that Jared Kushner has a part to play that story? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share a video from the Greg Reese Report. Go to his Rumble channel, give him a like, follow his content. I'm a huge Greg Reese fanboy. Go show that man some love. He's out here doing the Lord's work. Okay? He sees all of the New World Order. Alex Jones more and more has me thinking that he himself is compromised, and with the path that Owen Schroyer is starting to go down, let's make it better. There we go. That it will not be too much longer that either his song and dance, his tune about Trump and the Epstein cover-up will change, or he will be let go from InfoWars. Alex Jones is cooperating with the cover-up. I've reached out to Owen numerous times on Twitter. You need to look into Jared Kushner. Real quickly, okay, before I show the video on Rumble from the Greg Reese Report, let's go to Van.video real quick. Wow, his stuff is so far down that his stuff is underneath the Savannah Hernandez channel. I don't think she's done anything with Alex Jones in years. So let me show you this on band.video. This is last thing Greg Reese put on here was 7 months ago. Bitcoin and the future of financial freedom. This is the one we're going to watch, but we're going to watch it on Rumble. There is a reason why he no longer puts his content up on InfoWars. I need to try to get Greg Reese on the Truth Odyssey, guys. Let me do this real quick. You know what? While I'm going to do this, let's watch. Let me show you his that Kushner video. Why I take care of this.
With Marina Abramovich, and who has received $120,000 from the Israeli lobby, promotes implantable chips and transgenderism.
Do you remember when your parents thought you were a boy?
A little bit.
Talk to me about that a little bit.
Like, how did it make you feel when I used to take you and get your hair cut off at the barbershop on base?
It made me very angry.
You did not like your haircut. Why not?
Because I'm a girl, not a boy.
Yeah.
Tulsi Gabbard, who was sold to us as an anti-war personality and who has received $40,000 from the Israeli lobby, is now saying we need to go to war against Islam.
Joe Biden just recently pausing weapon shipments to Israel. How do you see that? I mean, there are folks that say he's on the side of Hamas at this point.
He is acting out of fear, which is why he has failed, like previous administrations before him, to wage this counter-ideological warfare against this Islamist ideology whose goal is to establish Islamic rule over the entire world, even with what's happening in our college campuses, even knowing that this is Hamas, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, this is their objective. He refuses to call it out for what it is because he's afraid of being called an Islamophobe. And it's the same reason why he is not taking seriously the need to defeat Hamas.
Incoming Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who has received $460,000 from the Israeli lobby, is warning that the International Criminal Court may become a threat to the U.S.
Now you have the International Criminal Court, or the ICC, and its prosecutor pursuing warrants against Israeli officials. That is outrageous, and it is unlawful. The ICC rogue actions are a threat to our ally Israel, and left unchecked, it could pose a threat to America in the future. So to our allies in Israel and to the Jewish people around the world, my message to you is this: reinforcements are on the way.
If you were wondering why the new Trump administration is looking more like Israel first than America first, according to Howard Lutnick, Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has been advising him on how to staff the administration.
So you're the co-chair of the Trump transition team, is that right?
That's correct.
So in the first Trump administration, a lot of lobbyists got appointed to prominent cabinet positions. Mark Esper, defense secretary, for example, was the top lobbyist at Raytheon, lots of other examples. Is that a philosophy that you would want to see perpetuated in a second Trump administration? Would it differ? What's the status of that?
No lobbyists are part of the transition. So I don't think so at all. I think we have the greatest group of potential, people who want to serve that you've ever seen. We have the leaders of America.
So no lobbyists in a second Trump administration?
I would not expect people who are lobbyists to be a material part. You can't say none. It's 4,000 people joining, so that's a silly thing.
Senior level cabinet positions, let's say.
I don't think so.
Is Jared Kushner coming back?
I don't comment on people. I told you that's not it, but Jared Kushner is a big help to me.
He's actively helping you on this project?
He is absolutely actively helping me because everybody's helping me. J.D. Vance is helping me. Everybody's helping.
Howard Lutnick, the next door neighbor to Jeffrey Epstein. Oh yeah, Jared's been a great help to me. You know what, in the Old Testament, was always used as a psychological weapon to weaken the people of Israel's relationship with the Lord God? Sexual immorality, foreign women, their perversiveness, and it would lead them to follow after other gods. It happened time and time and time again. Boy, do we got some stuff to look at, guys. Let's finish this video.
Helping find the most talented people they have.
Jared Kushner is a longtime family friend of Benjamin Netanyahu. The Kushner family, like the Trump family, are in the real estate business, and the Kushners have been doing business in Israel for years. Earlier this year, Jared spoke of Gaza's valuable waterfront property.
There are real fears on the part of Arabs, and I'm sure you talk to a lot of them, who think once Gazans leave Gaza, Netanyahu's never going to let them back in.
Maybe, but I'm not sure there's much left of Gaza at this point. So, if you think about even the construct, like, Gaza was not really a historical precedent, right? It was the result of a war. Borders are changed historically over time. And so my sense is I would say, how do we deal with the terror threat that is there so that it cannot be a threat to Israel or to Egypt, right? I think that both sides are spending a fortune on military. I think neither side really wants to have, a terrorist organization enclaved right between them. And Gaza's waterfront property, it could be very valuable. It's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there, but I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. I think proactively recognizing a Palestinian state would essentially be rewarding an act of terror that was perpetrated into Israel. So it's a super bad idea in that regard.
Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
Let's go to his channel. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. You guys see that? We're watching this.
Israeli lobbyists, Miriam and Sheldon Adelson, have given Trump well over $100 million. And according to Trump, they have been his best customers.
You know, Miriam and Sheldon would come into the White House probably almost more than anybody outside of people that work there. And they were always after, and as soon as I'd give them something, always for Israel, as soon as I'd give them something, they'd want something else. I said, give me a couple of weeks, will you please?
On the same week, it was announced that the government just saved $1 billion. $1 billion was sent to Israel. And President Trump's first guest to the White House was Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, wanted by the ICC for an ongoing genocide.
Would Palestinians have the right to return to Gaza if they left while the rebuilding was happening?
It would be my hope that we could do something really nice, really good, where they wouldn't want to return. Why would they want to return? The place has been hell. It's been one of the meanest, toughest places.
Look at the look on Netanyahu's face.
They left while the rebuilding was happening.
It would be my hope that we could do something really nice, really good, where they wouldn't want to return. Why would they want to return? The place has been hell.
Look at the look on his face. Holy shit. This build a place that is so great. They will never want to return. Oh, shit. The dirty Palestinians, the deplorables in the world of the that fucking look.
It's been one of the meanest.
Right there, with the fire crackling in the background. Hell, Satan, destroy all life. I want to make something very clear. I do not believe this is the thoughts of all Jewish people. And all of the nation of Israel. A big chunk of them, yes. Especially those who are in the higher pecking order in the Zionist movement. Martin Luther was right to be weary of them, though I don't agree with his remarks that we should kill them. That's probably the only thing I've ever heard from Martin Luther that I disagree with. But yes, Israel, we should be weary of them.
One of the meanest, toughest places on earth. But you take certain areas and you build really good quality housing, like a beautiful town, like someplace where they can live and not die. Because Gaza is a guarantee that they're going to end up dying. The same thing's going to happen again. The U.S. will take over.
The Gazans are guaranteed of dying. We're going to build nice houses for them in this ghetto, this concentration camp.
Over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
You are talking tonight about the United States taking over a sovereign territory. What authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there?
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land.
When the president talks about cleaning it out, he talks about making it habitable, and this is a long-range plan. They've dug tunnels underneath there that have basically degraded the stone that you make that would form foundations. We have to examine that. You do it with borings. You do it with subterranean surveys.
How long could that take?
And this guy knows real estate. It's years on top of years. Right. The disposal effort in Gaza is, we estimate, 3 to 5 years just to dispose of all the things before you can look down beneath the surface of the soil, and then before you get a master plan done. And the president is intent on getting it all done correctly. So to me, it is unfair to have explained to Palestinians that they might be back in 5 years. That's just preposterous.
And he's just taking a common sense approach.
I feel very differently about Gaza than a lot of people. I think they should get a good, fresh, beautiful piece of land, and we get some people to put up the money to build it and make it nice and make it habitable and enjoyable and make it a home.
They don't want to leave, though. Palestinians say they don't want to leave.
I don't know how they could want to stay. It's a demolition site. I envision world people living there, the world's people. I think you'll make that into an international, unbelievable place. I think the potential in the Gaza Strip is unbelievable. And I don't want to be cute. I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so bad. This could be so magnificent. It's a small country in terms of land. See this pen, this wonderful pen? My desk is the Middle East. And this pen, the top of the pen, that's Israel. That's not good, right? You know, that's a pretty big difference. I use that as an analogy. It's pretty accurate, actually.
I've said this before. I'll say it again. You are the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House.
Greg Reese reporting.
Folks, pardon me, there is a reason why I had the thumbnail that I had made for this live stream, which played as a quick little cartoon with some music in the background of Jared Kushner, and on the left breast of his suit jacket was a familiar logo with 3 letters underneath it saying OCP, Omni Consumer Products. This is Media Break. You give us a minute, we give you the world. I'm Thomas Wong. And he's holding up the image showing you the before and after. Gaza and Delta City. Remember in the film RoboCop, OCP has plans of privatizing the city of Old Detroit. We're going to tear down Old Detroit, and build back better with Delta City. By the way, who was the media employed by in RoboCop? Oh, that's right. They work for OCP, Omni Consumer Products. Oh. By the third film, they were rounding people up in Old Detroit. The Gestapo starts rounding up the people of Old Detroit, wanting to take them to camps so we can tear down Delta City. Or tear down Old Detroit to raise up Delta City, folks. Gaza is the blueprint. Gaza will be ground zero. What happens in Gaza within the next few years will happen around the globe. Gaza this is sad. This is the globalist. Donald Trump, Netanyahu are and just even Joe Biden, Obama. You think that fucking bickering's real? That shit's to get you to stop thinking about Epstein. Oh, squirrel. They are globalists. Let me find something real quick. Excuse me. Let's see. Okay. Jared Kushner, former senior advisor to President Donald Trump, as a modern Orthodox Jew, his involvement in the Middle East diplomacy, particularly the Abraham Accords, has focused on promoting interfaith and intercultural dialogue to foster peace and cooperation among the three Abrahamic religions, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. The Abraham Accords, spearheaded by Kushner, aim to normalize relations between Israel and several Arab nations, including the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, Sudan, While not every explicitly, the Accords emphasize shared values and common ancestry through Abraham as a foundation for building peaceful coexistence and cooperation in the region. Kushner has emphasized the importance of religious freedom and mutual respect among different faiths as a key component of his approach to Middle East peace efforts. He believes that fostering understanding and collaboration among religious communities can contribute to a more stable and prosperous future for the region. Yeah, okay, we got something here. Okay. I want to show you. So, it's not Kushner companies that's doing this real estate, though they're attached to it, right? But Jared Kushner has his own thing called Affinity Partners. Now, I went on Copilot, which is like Microsoft's version of ChatGTP, and asked it define affinity, not infinity, affinity, AFFINITY. This is what Copilot says. Affinity is a rich word with layers of meaning spanning emotion, biology, chemistry, and symbolism at its core. It describes a natural connection or attraction between things, people, or ideals. Definitions by context. Emotional, social, a spontaneous or natural liking or sympathy for someone or something. Example, he has an affinity for ancient architecture. Structural and comparative. A similarity suggesting a relationship or shared origin. There's an affinity between Egyptian and Mesoamerican pyramids. Biology. A resemblance in structure between organisms indicating common ancestry. Example, the affinity between species suggests evolutionary links. Chemical. The tendency of substance to combine or bond. Example, the hemoglobin has a strong affinity for oxygen. Legal, relational. A relationship by marriage as opposed to blood ties. Example, they're connected by affinity, not consanguinity. Etymology, from Latin affinitas, meaning bordering or related, rooted in, add to, finis, border, suggesting closeness or connection. Symbolic resonance. In your context, Jacob, affinity becomes a ritual, a coded bond between entities, ideologies, or symbols. Affinity partners, for instance, isn't just a name, it's a declaration of elite alignment, spiritual mimicry, and architectural homage to Babel's legacy. How about that? Now, I want to show you Affinity Partners website. That's it. That's all it is. You have three options here. There's no scrolling, investor login, contact us, press inquiries, Affinity Partners. Affinity Partners Global. Now, I want you to notice something about their logo here. This is not the letter A. This is an incomplete pyramid. Here's incompletion. There's incompletion. There's incompletion. This is incomplete. Let me draw it for you again. Watch where the mouse goes. Incompletion, incompletion, incompletion. The incompletions go and connect into this void. The number of incompletion is 6. Incompletion, incompletion, incompletion. And the 3 incompletions are 1. 6, 6, 6 are 1. One world government. Affinity Partners Global. And the only things on the website, investor login, contact us, press inquiries. That's it. There's no scroll to this website. It is dark with an incomplete pyramid with 3 incompletions. The number of incompletion is 6, 6, 6. Kushner Companies was located at 666 5th North Avenue, New York City, New York. Here is an interview for the FII Institute. Stephen Witkoff and Jared Kushner on the new era of U.S. Middle East economic cooperations. This was from 5 months ago, February 1st, or February 20th, 2025.
Great honor for me to do this today with my friend Steve, who's really needs no introduction, but I will just give a little bit of a personal anecdote to start, which is when I started in a couple careers ago in New York, I really learned a lot in New York real estate, which is probably one of the toughest businesses and one of the toughest environments in the world. And I went there as a young guy, and I really tried to learn from all of the greats in New York. And it really is a bunch of luminaries who have done incredible things to build the skyline. It's a very competitive sport, and Steve was one of the people I looked up to. And I would always see whenever there would be these great deals done, it was always Steve. He figured out how to pull together the One High Line, which was an incredible deal, and 150 Charles Street, which always broke records. And then he came down to Miami and did the Shore Club, which was incredible, and Shell Bay. So I always knew Steve as an incredible deal maker, an incredible visionary. And then he decided to go for this next term for President Trump into really the next level of deal making. So President Trump could not have gotten a better person, a better friend, and a more incredible deal maker. So really an honor to be with Steve and have him doing this job and be with him today. So let's welcome him. Thank you. So Steve just got back from Russia, and he was we're very thankful that you were able to bring back Mark Fogel, an American who was held there. Maybe start by telling everyone how you were able to make that happen.
Well, first of all, it all begins, as you know, Jared, because you work for him, it all begins with your father-in-law. He sets the table. I'm not just saying it, but peace through strength, that's what dictates releases like Mark Fogel. We got to reach out from someone in Russia who you know, Kirill, and that was in part engineered, or in large part engineered by His Highness MBS in Saudi Arabia, and also Dr. Masood, and also Princess Remer, who I see right over here. And they were terrific, and they felt that there could be a compelling meeting in Russia that might lead to the release of Mark Fogel, and it actually happened. We got off the plane. I think we were not sure it was going to happen, and it did, and I think it had a lot of knock-on effect. I would think that it was a show of good faith on the part of President Putin. Our president, Trump, had a conversation with President Putin after this release, and it's led to a lot of positivity. So hopefully it will have a large impact on a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah, so I'll have two questions on that, but the first one is, coming from the business world, which is, I think, a very natural way to go into politics, but it's not the ordinary course. But knowing to get on a plane, go to Russia, who to trust, who not to trust, how do you feel like you're able to navigate that and to have instincts on whether to pursue? Because these things do come with risks, right? You could have gone there and you could have come back with nothing, and it could have been embarrassing. And there's a lot of people who are very quick to criticize in politics. What made you feel confident to do that, and how were you able to pull it off when you were there?
Well, first, I had the support of President Trump, which is a really big deal. Secondly, we have a really good relationship with the Saudis. And Princess Remer is an amazing ambassador. Dr. Masood is incredible. His Highness is incredible. They assured us that this was real, that there was real validity to Kirill and what he was saying could happen here. And so to me, it became worth the trip. And so we went, and it was a great trip. I spent, a lot of time with President Putin, talking, developing a friendship, a relationship with him. And that led to Mark getting on the plane. And Mark getting on the plane was momentous. We got to the airport, he was jumping, and he was so happy, couldn't even believe it. And we touched down at Andrews, big snowstorm. And I said, Mark, you're on U.S. soil now. There's no turning back. And spoke to his 97-year-old mother on the plane, his wife, his two children. It felt like I was doing something really consequential. And you did this. And so you know how it can make you feel. It makes you feel like you're doing something larger than yourself.
So you've now met in Russia, and then you just came back from Saudi Arabia, where you had also high-level meetings. Obviously, I saw that the press is always, you have a lot of critics, you have a lot of people with ideas. What's your perspective, having sat now in the room and hearing those perspectives, on what you think is possible, and to whatever degree you're willing to give a time frame for how long you think it will take to develop these ideas? And I will just caveat that by saying this thing's been going on for a long time. It's very emotional for people. These are very hard things to resolve, but it feels like for the first time since this war started that there is a real effort that has a chance to bring a breakthrough to end the war.
Well, first of all, it's what you talk about. You set the table. you began this whole thing in the first Trump administration, and you were so successful. And I think the secret sauce is correcting miscommunication and creating good communication. And you did it so well, and that's how you began the. That's how you and President Trump created the Abraham Peace Accords. And so I think, with regard to what it was like in Saudi, I think the beginning of that meeting felt a little bit. What word do I want to use? I want to choose my words carefully on this one. It felt a little bit pro forma. And I think as both sides began to realize that we were there on a trust-building mission, and we were there to explore how we might get some sort of deal done in time, I think everybody got very comfortable with one another, and we all walked away thinking, wow, this was a transformational meeting. Now, you're right. Then you listen to the media, and of course, it's misportrayed. And that becomes somewhat amusing. And then I have to take the advice from you, which is always, don't care about the media. So that's liberating, because I have you, the Rebbe, telling me that.
It's true. So you still have a very successful business that your sons now are running, who you've trained very well. Again, I know this because, again, I be at the country club that you built, which is spectacular. By the way, my sons would ask Steve, how do you make money there with all the free ice cream you give out? And so he had to explain to them the business model over dinner. It was a very interesting conversation. But you had a great life, living in Florida. We've been fishing together. We've done a lot of things here. But you've chosen to put that on hold and to step away and forego that opportunity with your amazing business in order to go and try to serve the country, work with President Trump to tackle some of these impossible and intractable problems. Why did you decide to do it?
Because you convinced me. And he did, by the way. I think it was sort of clever on your part, insidiously clever. But it's something that's so worthy and so consequential. And you realize that with good communication skills, you can actually have a positive impact on some of these situations. I get calls and emails and texts every single day from hostage families on both sides. And I've made great relationships out there with the Saudis, with the Emiratis, with Sheikh Mohammed, who I say all the time has been so consequential in all of this. And I know you have friendships with them too. For me, it's a blessing. I feel like I'm privileged. I get to do something that I never thought I never thought that I would ever be. I thought I'd be a lawyer for the rest of my life. And then I got to be in the real estate business. And one of my mentors was Donald Trump. And now I get to work for him. And he's a special man to work for. He really is. I'm excited when I wake up in the morning looking at my texts and my emails. And so it feels very consequential for me.
So your first real negotiation when you started in this, you didn't even wait till you got into government. It was actually pretty impressive how you were able to build a relationship with the Biden team and everyone. And it felt like they just sucked you right into the vortex, even during transition, which is very unusual.
Yeah.
And you had a very successful negotiation in order to get several dozen hostages released, which, again, even just one is a life saved. And I know that it's really touched you, and I know you brought intense passion and work to do that. What's been your observation so far about your first government negotiations, and why do you think the first phase was successful? And then I'll ask you about where you think we're going with the next phase of the negotiations.
So I just think that they were talking past one another in that first phase. And the real estate business, it's like a closing at the table. You've got to get people talking to each other and with each other. And there were built-in barriers to getting a deal done. For instance, Hamas is not at the table. They don't want to be at the table with the Israelis. The Israelis don't want to be at the table with them. You tell me how you bring that together when people don't want to sit at the same table with each other. So that never changed, by the way. Hamas would come, they would be at the floor below. The sheikh would go downstairs, he would talk to them, come back upstairs. It's not.
FYI, guys. You know, I showed you earlier the Effendi Partners site, the contact us. And so you can submit a question, which, you know what, let's forego that freaking video. I want to show you this real quick. So you click on contact us, right? Then it will open a new tab like this. Name, email, phone number. I did not give my phone number. Reason for inquiry, subject, message. So for reason of inquiry, I put real estate. Subject, locations, and I type what sites are being eyed for development. Wonder if I'll get a response. Oh shit. I just got a email from Rumble tech support. Hi there. Are you still experiencing issues? Only when I am talking about Jared Kushner and Israel. Send. I'm not lying either. No, they haven't tried anything in this live stream, but they still just might. I should emphasize that real quick. Yeah, I'm emailing him. I'm live streaming about Jared Kushner right now. So keep an eye out. That's but crazy timing. I want to show you something. This is from Chris Christie from a year ago. Okay, this is on YouTube, so more likely we'll have to wrestle with ads.
The grift from this family is breathtaking. It's breathtaking. Jared Kushner and Ivanka Kushner walk out of the White House and months later get $2 billion from the Saudis. $2 billion from the Saudis. You think it's because he's some kind of investing genius? Or do you think it's because he was sitting next to the President of the United States for 4 years doing favors for the Saudis? That's your money. That's your money he stole and gave it to his family. You know what that makes us? A banana republic.
Christie versus Jared, Netflix.
A banana republic. Okay, here's this. I did not want to go large screen. Share. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Jared Kushner.
Usually when wars happen, borders are changed historically over time. And so my sense is I would say, how do we deal with the terror threat that is there so that it cannot be a threat to Israel or to Egypt, right? I think that both sides are spending a fortune on military. I think neither.
Any time that they propagate terror and pushing a fear-based agenda, it is always followed by more surveillance on the free people. 9/11, we're going to listen to all your phone calls. The Patriot Act has never stopped. The Patriot Act is still in effect. Think of how much of surveillance was installed in 2020. Think about the conversation that I had with Courtney Turner. Think about the bill HR 6395 and me talking about how they say that the best way to mitigate viral pandemics such as COVID-19 is through surveillance and detection. And in the original draft, suggests using the same technology used to identify IEDs, explosives, to look for infected deplorables, which is you and me. Nobody's talking about it, folks.
Either side really wants to have, a terrorist organization enclaved right between them. In Gaza's waterfront property, it could be very valuable to, if people would focus on kind of building up, livelihoods. You think about all the money that's gone into this tunnel network and into all the munitions. If that would have gone into education or innovation, what could have been done? And so I think that it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there, but I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. But I don't think that Israel has stated that they don't want the people to move back there afterwards.
Yeah. I mean,
so what I would do right now if I was Israel is I would try to say, number one, you want to get as many civilians out of Rafah as possible. I think that you want to try to clear that out. I know that with diplomacy, maybe you get them into Egypt. I know that that's been refused, but with the right diplomacy, I think it would be possible. But in addition to that, the thing that I would try to do if I was Israel right now is I would just bulldoze something in the Negev. I would try to move people in there. I know that won't be the popular thing to do, but I think that that's a better option to do so that you can go in and finish the job. I think there was one decision point they had. Do we go into Gaza? Do we not go into Gaza? They had the hostages. There really was, I think, no choice but to do that. I think that they were smart to go slowly and deliberately. Gaza's booby-trapped like crazy. They have over 400 miles of underground tunnels. And so I think that they've taken some of the right steps in order to go there. But you have to, again, I think Israel's gone way more out of their way than a lot of other countries would to try to protect civilians from casualties. But I do think right now opening up the Negev, creating a secure area there, moving the civilians out, and then going in and finishing the job would be the right move.
Is that? And so please join me in thanking Jared Kushner.
I mean, I don't know how much more proof people need about how wicked this dude is. I just found something interesting. I'm going to show you this, and we'll be wrapping up after this. When was this? When did they put this out? September 24th, 2019. One World Religion is Jared Kushner, the Jewish Messiah.
It's an appeal for unity, for them to unite or to join again with the Catholic Church. It's an invitation for them to be one. And I think this is very significant. We won't be able to show the whole video. We will post it at the Amazing Facts website if you'd like to view it in its entirety. But I'd like to go through and look at it and highlight some points that I want to bring to your attention. Why don't we go ahead and we'll roll that now.
I believe that God has brought me here to this
Tony
year's Ministers'
Palmer.
Conference in the spirit of Elijah. Let me explain. If you look carefully, the spirit of Elijah was on John the Baptist to turn the hearts of the sons to the fathers.
Well, let's pause the tape right there. Now, in a moment, we're going to be hearing a personal message from Pope Francis. But to me, even more interesting is the question about who is this Bishop Tony Palmer? A very dashing individual
He got in
that
a
seems
car
to have
accident
a personal
2
relationship
years
with the Pope
ago.
and is being sent as an envoy of the Pope. He sort of is a mediator in that he's not technically a Catholic, he's an Anglican. He has his own ministry that is specifically focused on bringing unity to the churches. And he's not just going to this conference of the charismatics, but he's making the rounds in every way he can to bring the different churches together. He does a masterful job as framing himself as the prophet Elijah with a message to bring the children back to the fathers and the fathers to the children. A message of unity, playing down doctrinal differences. You can listen and see what you think.
And to turn the hearts of the fathers to the sons, to prepare the way for the Lord. And we know that prophecy always has a double fulfillment. And we know that Elijah will come before the second coming as well. And I've understood that the spirit of Elijah is the spirit of reconciliation, to return hearts to each other. This is very important.
He worshipped Elijah.
We know that the first 1,000 years there was one church, it was called the Catholic Church. And the word Catholic means universal, it doesn't mean Roman. Catholic means, if you're born again, raise your hand if you're born again. You're a Catholic.
Don't want to make too much out of it because he's right. The word Catholic does technically mean universal. But what you're seeing here is in very careful, deliberate increments, the distinctions between Catholics.
That had absolutely nothing to do with Jared Kushner. Yeah, Jared Kushner. He's your president, guys. You may not want to believe that. You thought you voted in anti-globalist Donald Trump. But what you actually got was globalist Jared Kushner. Oh, yeah, I forgot I had that pulled up for you guys. This is what you need to see. You guys ready for this? This is where we're really going to finish off the live stream.
So we have the Donald Trump coin, we have Cyrus, we have Donald Trump. Here we have Cyrus, Balfour Trump declaration. We have in Hebrew, Sarat Koresh, Balfour Trump, and we have the temple, which has spread.
A few months ago, President Donald Trump declared that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. The Holy Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. We want to say thank you. We want to show our gratitude to that big declaration, and that's why we put President Donald Trump next to King Cyrus on our special coin.
FYI, the writing on the tail side of the coin, which, as you just heard them say, the temple of the Lord, says the third temple.
The income from these donations are going to be used for the rebuilding and education of the third temple. The temple belongs to everybody, to the Jewish nation, but also to the whole world. So we're starting with the people of Israel, we're starting maybe with the Trump base, but I'm sure that maybe through Trump, everybody will understand not how Donald Trump is important, but how important Jerusalem and the temple is for the whole world.
It felt good to buy this coin because I liked what Trump said, his declaration that he's going to move the embassy to Jerusalem. I think it's a very important statement. And like Koresh that helped the Jewish people establish itself in our Holy Land, it felt nice to have this coin and have a memory of this time and what he did.
Alright, guys. They just said that coin was for funding the building of the third temple. That was during his first term. And just recently, they supposedly sacrificed a red heifer. Folks, I feel like the appropriate thing for me to do in regards to what has been discussed in this live stream is to invite you, if you have not done so, to accept Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, because the days are running short. The clock is ticking. I'm really concerned about where all this is heading. So many in the faith are being deceived and unwilling to admit that they are being deceived. Let me see something real quick. Man, I thought I had that opened up. What is that? That's not one. Well, that's not bueno. There's just times I really hate technology. There we go. I want to end this with a special bonus. There we go. Guys, this is the Truther Odyssey, where we seek the truth in a world full of disinformation and indoctrination. I am your host, as always, the Truth Talker, Jacob Eggers. Jared Kushner. Your move, creep. You can't be either Neo or Agent Smith. Not only do you need your ammo, but that ammo is kind of pointless if you don't have the proper tools to use it with. So right now would actually be an excellent time to go to your local gun shops or your local Rule King. Head to that gun barn and start investing in some firearms and plenty of bullets. Plenty of bullets. Right here is my Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 2. Yeah, that sight's right on the money. So, tell you what, truthers, and my fellow Americans.
Go tell that long-time liar. Go and tell that midnight rider. Tell the rambler again with a backbite. Tell them the God. Tell them the God. Cut them down. Goodness gracious, let me tell you the news. My head's been wet with the midnight dew. I've been down on a bended knee, talking to the man from Galilee. He spoke to me in a voice so soft, I thought I heard the angels. He called my name, my heart stood still. John, do my will. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. You may throw your rock and hide your hand, working in the dark against a fellow man. But as sure as God made black or white, what's down in the dark will be brought to the light. You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.